teaching people in France. That's really the best part of being a missionary. I don't know very many missionaries that like to go porting or just love to go contacting all day long. Missionaries like to know that we're going to be able to teach people and talk to people and kind of fulfill our purpose. But obviously you have to go porting, you have to go contacting, you have to do the dirty work to get those cool experiences. And also I saw that there were really cool experiences while contacting or while porting. Porting is tracting in English. It's going knocking on doors, port to port, you go to door. And so that's what we did. And then there are some times in your mission where you don't ever port. You might be in a city where, like in Paris, it's illegal to port in some areas, so that's not really an option. Then there are some times where you have no one to teach, you don't have a single ME, you don't have anyone to share the gospel with, and so you have to just contact for hours or port, and it can kind of get old. But if you just keep in mind you're doing this to find the person that's ready, it kind of keeps you going. And then you always hear these conversion stories from these older people that have been in the church for a while that say, oh, I had someone knock on my door and exactly what it was, what I needed and what I'd been looking for, and I didn't even know it. So you hear those stories that kind of help you keep going. But on my mission, I had some really cool people that I taught that I was able to see the gospel change their lives. The first one that comes to mind is someone named Teton. It's in my second city. I was in a really small town, the only set of missionaries there, me and my companion. And I'd heard about this lady named Teton from some other people that had served there. They told me that Teton was the coolest person in the world. And I just heard Teton. And it took me a week of being there until I met her, which I thought was weird. And I wasn't that excited about her. I was like, this is someone else's me that they are really close with, but I'll teach them, but I'm not going to fall in love with them the same way these other missionaries have. And so I remember I met her and I fell in love with her. She was incredible. She's just this little teeny lady from Vietnam. And it was just the greatest thing. She had had a really hard life. She had been homeless and on drugs and had her family leave her. Just had this really hard time. I would say that her only friends were me and my companion and a few of the members in that town. And for her, I think at first it was just having that human interaction with people that was really great for her. Not necessarily having this huge, strong testimony about the gospel, but she just really liked to be around people and be around us. And it was cool because my companion that I was with my ville before Cholet had just came from Cholet. So I had heard even more about Teton. And I got there thinking, okay, I'm going to go and teach this person to help my companion because I know she loves her. But I didn't realize that Teton would have such an effect on me. And it was really cool to see the progress she made. The gospel really helped her in her life. And it was really cool to see after she was baptized, her life was not perfect. Her life became a lot worse. In some aspects, she was completely disowned from her family. She would send Christmas gifts to people in her family and they would mail them back to her. She really lost everything. Her friends at work didn't want to be around her because she was a Mormon, and she was just really confused. And there were some hard times that she would straight up tell us that she couldn't feel the Spirit and she didn't want to be a member anymore. And that was so heartbreaking because we had seen such a change in her before, but we could just encourage her to stay true to what she had been taught and what she had known and loved. And it's cool to see her change back. And so I think having to realize that life after baptism isn't perfect. It's a lot of times harder, and it's always just a roller coaster. Just like missionaries and members that have been members their whole life, there are really hard times and really great times, and we just have to keep working towards those great times. This other person I taught was this huge miracle. I had been in this great city, my favorite city, named Rennes, for a few months, and I was with my new companion, and we were best friends. We worked so hard, and we had so much fun together, and it just was the greatest time, one of the greatest transfers of my mission. But we had made a goal to to see the full process of someone becoming a member, to find them ourselves, to teach them, and to see them get baptized. We just wanted to be part of that whole process with that person. And we had been together for a couple of weeks, and we had seen people progress. We had found people. We had done all the different aspects of missionary work with people, but had never been with one person. And in our mission, the assistants had told us to keep a missionary calendar with us at all times, a baptismal calendar, so that no matter who we met, no matter when we met them, we could give them a calendar, set a baptismal date with them, give them the calendar, and make it happen for them. And so we hadn't been doing that. I don't know why we didn't keep one in our bag. I think we had thought the other one had one in the bag, or if we had met someone and set a baptismal date with them, we could give them a calendar the next time. And it was really cool. On Saturday, we had been having all these great miracles our time together in Ren, but just hadn't had the same success that we had planned to have. But we decided that we would put faith in our leaders and trust their counsel. We knew that they had been inspired to give us the counsel of having a baptismal calendar with us at all times. And so we were in Ren, and it was me and my companion, and then there were 2 sets of elders. And so me and my companion, we taught women, and then the elders taught men, and whoever found families, and whoever had, we had our own kind of separate sets of investigators. And we were always at church early. No matter where you were in your mission, you always arrived to church early so you could greet all the members and greet your investigators or the less actives. And for some reason, the elders weren't there. And we're like, oh, those elders, why are they late to church? Like, they have a car, like they should be able to drive to church and get here on time. And me and my companion was kind of like making fun of them. And then this lady that we had never seen before, she walked in. And like, oh, hi, like, who are you? And she said that her name was Crystal, and that she lived an hour away from Ren, and she didn't have a car, and so it was really hard for her to get to church, and she was inactive. And for some reason that day, she had found someone that was driving to Ren that could take her to church, but they had to drop her off at church really early, and they wouldn't be able to get back until the end of the day. So she'd have to spend the entire day at church. And me and my companion were like, oh, cool. Like, what can we do to help you? And she said that she had her son with her, who was 9 years old, named Nathan. And she wanted him to become baptized. She wanted him to be a member of the church. And my companion were like, okay, great. Like, that's such a great thing for you and your family. Would love to help you, you know? And she pulled out her calendar and she asked us, okay, how many times can you come see us? Like, I really want him to be taught this. And she had been trying to teach her kids at home about the gospel, but it was hard because she was a single mother. They weren't able to come to church. I don't know the last time that he had came. I had never seen them in all the months I had been there. Not many of the members even knew who they were. But we talked with them, and then at the end of the church session, the mom asked if we could meet after church and have our first official lesson. And I'm like, yeah, great. And she told us that she wanted him to be baptized. And we had our calendar with us. And that was such a cool miracle because we didn't think that we would find someone that quickly, or that someone just kind of fall into our lap. And so right then at 3 hours later from meeting him, we gave him a calendar. We wrote his name on it, all cute. And he was so adorable about it. And they were really stressed because they wanted him to get baptized before either one of us left. And it was hard because you don't want someone to get baptized because of you. You don't want someone to get baptized because they really like you. Obviously, you want your investigators to like you and to be friends with you, but they shouldn't get baptized for you. And I remember the mom, she had asked, when are one of you leaving? And I had to tell her, I'm leaving in 2 weeks, but I'm okay. I don't have to be here for the baptism. Obviously, I would like to be there to see him, because he was just like the cutest kid and so adorable. And so I would have liked to be there, but I had accepted that I wasn't going to be there. I'd be there to teach him, to see him and with his little testimony grow, but I wouldn't be there for the baptism. And I didn't want to rush him or anything. But the mom and the son were both completely committed to doing anything that they could to be able to have both me and my companion be there for his baptism. And it all just magically, well, obviously from Heavenly Father, worked out. We saw them. We took a train out to Laval several times a week. We taught him, and he was able to be baptized with us all there. And it was just the coolest experience. And it was really special because that's why one of the happiest days of my mission, I was with my best friend in my favorite city, seeing this beautiful little boy get baptized. All of the missionaries in Rennes, we had kind of just all became this little family, and so excited to do this all together. And it was really cool because that was one of the best days of my mission. And then a little twist, that same day after the baptism, we were still at the church kind of cleaning up, and I had the phone, and we hadn't had the phone on loud or anything, but we were still cleaning, and everyone had left, and it was just the missionaries cleaning up, and I had a missed phone call on our phone. And so I looked at it, and it was an 801 number, and 801 is the area code in Utah. And I was really confused, and I had a voicemail from my mom, which was the weirdest thing of my life because your parents don't call you on your mission. On the same day of this magical baptism, that was the biggest miracle. All the missionaries were at the church after the baptism cleaning up, and our phone had been on silent. And I just remember it being the happiest day of my mission, probably with my best friends around me, with incredible members in my favorite city. And I looked at our phone, and I had a missed call from an 801 number. And I knew that 801 was the area code for Utah. And no one from Utah should be calling the missionaries in France, because you only talk to your family on Mondays on email or on Skype with Mother's Day and Christmas Day. And there's a voicemail. And I kind of got this gut in my stomach, like, okay, what's going on? Who's calling us from Utah? But me and my companion were both from Utah, so I thought, okay, it's for someone. But the voicemail was from my mom, and it was just this little, minute voicemail. And I remember she says, "Hi, this is Kathy. I'm looking for Emily, Sister John's." And I was like, oh no, what is she gonna say? Like, what's happening? And in the voicemail, I could tell she had a crying voice, and she was calling to say that her dad had died. And I knew that people had their grandparents or people in their lives die on their mission. And I had known that either the mission president will call you and tell you, or you'll have to wait till Monday. I didn't really know how that worked specifically for our mission. And I knew that I couldn't call my mom back. And I didn't know anything in the voicemail. All she said is, "I'm just calling you about your grandpa." But I don't know why else she would call me about my grandpa unless it was bad news. And I was freaking out. I remember I was telling my companion, I was like, my mom called me. And we're both like, what? And I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. It was such a happy day at the baptism that I was like, okay, well, nothing. I don't know anything yet. She'll call me back. But she wasn't calling me back, and I couldn't call her. And my mission president wasn't answering his phone. And so I called the mission president's wife, and I said, "Hi, my mom just called me. I'm not sure why, and I don't know how to call her back." And my mission president's wife, she did it in English because I think she just felt so bad. She spoke English to me, and she said, "Okay, well, I'll talk to President Poznansky, and we'll find out what we can do." But I was just really anxious and didn't know what was going on. And so I had this member in Rennes that was friends with my sister on Facebook message my sister and say, "Call your sister." And then I get another phone call from my mom to tell me that my grandpa had died, that she had contacted my mission president, and my mission president gave her my phone number to call me. And I was just a mess. I don't really have tear ducts. Crying is really hard for me. But that day, I just, I think it's just the mix of emotion. I had just gone from being the happiest on this big spiritual high to finding out that the man that was my father had died. But it was this really cool thing that I learned on my mission, because I turned to the Lord for this happy miracle. But then I also had to turn to the Lord for this hard time, and just really strengthen my testimony. It was really cool for me to see kind of the whole plan of salvation come together with this baptism. This first, I was entering into this new life as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ. And and then also at the end of life. So I think it was a really cool miracle and big blessing in my mission. But this other guy I taught in my mission is my last area, and it was just me and my companion in this other small town. There were any missionaries around. There wasn't any bus. It was just us and Tool. There had been elders there before, but they were just sisters then. And I hadn't been used to talking to men. I hadn't been used to teaching men. I had just been used to ignoring when men called out at you. And we were walking on my very first Monday there, and this little man yells out to us and asked us if we were Teton Jehovah, which is a Jehovah's Witness. And I just kept walking. I was like, I don't have time to talk to creepy men, and I'm not going to talk to him about being a Jehovah's Witness or not being Jehovah's Witness. But my companion, she was just talking to him and wouldn't stop talking to him. And I was so annoyed. And I was like, we should not be talking to men. Like, this is weird, and he's creepy. And his cousin was there, and they were just asking us all these questions, and I was just answering in the most simple, one-worded way, and just trying to get rid of these creepy men. Neither of them had a phone number, so we couldn't even get their phone number if they were even really interested. But what we did is we gave them the address to the church and said, okay, if you come to church on Sunday, we'll teach you. Sunday came and they didn't teach us, and they didn't come to church. And we were like, okay, well, we got rid of those two creepy guys. But the thing is, it's a really small town, and so you see the same people all the time. And another week had passed, and somehow they got our phone number, and they had asked us to come and teach them right then. And me and my companion were like, okay, well, we have nothing else to do. Like, let's go teach these creepy men from Romania. And the smaller guy that had first initiated talking to us, he was so genuine. That very first time we met him, he was a creep, and I didn't want anything to do with him. But that second time and every other time, his genuine interest in the church was so admirable. He had shown us all of the things that people had ever given him. In his apartment, he had all the different pamphlets from every single religion, and he even had a Book of Mormon, but he had never read it. He didn't know French at the time, so he couldn't read anything. But he had just really spent his whole life looking for the gospel, and he had just looked for the gospel in every way he could. And it was really cool to see the happiness he had in his life when he had realized he had found what he had been looking for so long. And he really changed my opinion of people, and not to really judge people, even if they are creepy Eastern European that catcall at you. They could be interested too. And now he's just the cutest guy and passes the sacrament and just wants to bring everyone to the church. Every single Sunday that I was there after his baptism, he would just bring all these random Romanians that couldn't speak any French and would make them sit in church with him. And I'm pretty sure the church attendance in Toul, the branch of Toul, doubled with the Romanians. And we joked about it because none of them could speak any French. None of them had any idea what was going on, but they all were there. And at the baptism, his mom, who didn't speak anything besides Romanian, she was in tears. And at first, me and my companion were like, oh no, she's really mad at him. Like, he comes from this Catholic family. He can't, like, she's really disappointed in him. This is bad. We don't want him to see her crying. So after, we went up to her and we're like, hi, are you okay? Like, in really broken French to try to simplify it to her. And she just pointed to her heart and she said, I feel good. And she was like, it's happy tears. And that was really cool to see, the effect that this man's decision had on other people, even though they didn't know why he joined. They didn't understand the Book of Mormon. They didn't understand what people were saying in their testimonies, but they understood the feeling that they had. So that was really cool.